As you can see, Marvel is enjoying some success. Black Panther Wakanda Forever passes $400 million at global box office in less than a week. I think that's pretty impressive, though I think that the movie is going to probably settle around $800 million. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that's a good, I mean, even if that's where it ends up, that's still pretty good. Also, as people always point out, this has not been adjusted for inflation when comparing it to the original, but it's still quite a bit of money, and it shows that people are still willing to go out and see Marvel movies. However, how much longer is that going to continue? And I ask this because you have so much content coming out. Like, here's one, even though this isn't MCU, this is going to be Marvel Sony, which is a separate thing, and Amazon is going to show it. They're making a Silk Spider Society show. In the comics, she's just Silk. She's actually the biggest ripoff of Spider-Man yet because she was actually bitten by the same spider as Peter Parker, though obviously I don't think they're going to include that in the movie. But yes, in the comics, she was bitten by the same spider, jumps off Peter and jumps on her and bites her right after him, if I remember correctly. It's a Dan Slott creation. That's why the origin is so lately. I remember the question, what if the spider bit somebody else? This happened around the time of the original Sin event back in Marvel. And she's an awful character. They've tried to give her her own run here and there, and nobody cares. But doesn't matter. Sony has complete control over all of the spider characters. And because of that, they are going to harvest the hell out of them. This is why you're seeing like Madam Web get a movie, which is going to be awful. Morbius got a movie for some reason. That was a stupid idea. They had a little bit of success with Venom, and now they're like, let's just make everybody into a movie. We'll have our own MCU, but with spider characters only. It's an awful idea. This show will not be good. It's going to be an awful show because these characters can't stand on their own without Peter Parker, and that's just the way it is. So how they're going to do this, considering she got bit by the same spider as Peter Parker, has me a little interested. I wonder how they're going to spin this around because she has pretty much the same origin, but just not as good. Like there's no Uncle Ben. But this is a good example of releasing so much stuff that it causes fatigue, which is exactly what's going on with just the main MCU itself. Look at all the stuff we've had in the past year and a half. There's been more content for Phase 4 than any other phase at Marvel, and it's just going to pick up with Phase 5. A lot of this content, by the way, not very good. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, compared to how much content came out for Phase 1, 2, and 3, and how good most of that content was compared to Phase 4. Most of the Phase 4 content has been shit. And confusing for some people because you absolutely have to watch everything to understand what the hell was going on. It's like, I forget the name of the actress, but she played Elaine in Seinfeld. She's now like a director of the Thunderbolts, basically, in the MCU, and she was in Black Panther too. And if you hadn't been watching, you're going to be like, who the hell is this? You'd have to have watched the Falcon and Winter Soldier show to have any idea who she was. It's just a small problem. And it is a small problem. It's a small problem that's going to turn into a big one. Just my opinion. And I don't think that I'm wrong. And it's not just Marvel that's helping push superhero fatigue. The article is new data reveals Marvel movie fatigue is worse than DC. But the fact that you have Sony trying to harvest every frickin' Spider-Man character they can. And then you have Marvel putting out tons of stuff. DC about to put out tons of stuff, though they're going to be a little more selective about it, it looks like. All this adds up. And once you start having like so much bad shit out there, it's going to turn people off. Every movie genre dies eventually. Like Razorfist said, Marvel, DC, these comic book movies will eventually go the way of the Western, and something else will pick up. I know that's hard to believe for some people because superhero movies have been on top for a long time, but eventually it's going to happen. So, superhero fatigue could become a problem. According to a new study conducted by Fandom via Variety, over 1/3 of Marvel fans are getting fatigued with the MCU compared to only 1/5 of DC fans saying the same about the DCU. The study took a deep dive into the comic book movie fandom, drawing on 5,000 entertainment and gaming fans between the ages of 13 and 54 years, as well as proprietary insights from fandom's online platform and wikis. It presented a few key findings, including some major differences between Marvel and DC fans. It found that 81% of those who closely associate with Marvel are more likely to seek out any and every MCU project, whereas only 67% of DC fans would do the same for their respective movies and shows. So, yeah, 81% of those who closely associate Marvel are going to seek everything out. But eventually, that takes a toll. It takes a toll. The DC fan base is more likely to consume TV or films based around specific superhero, with 57% of DC fans being focused on one or two characters compared to 38% of Marvel fans. That doesn't surprise me. Like, look at the comic books right now, and I've done tons of videos on this. If you look at all of the charts on, like, comic book sales, the only characters that sell for DC are Batman. That's it. Like, Batman's like the only thing. The Batman and the Batman family. So Batman-related titles such as Nightwing, Harley Quinn, stuff like that. Those are always in the top 50, and then you never see any other DC character. It's a problem they have. Like, nobody's taking a shine to any of the other characters at DC. Batman is the only character anybody seems to give a shit about. Marvel doesn't have that problem. The closest thing that Marvel has is to a Batman is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is their Batman. And I think Spider-Man outranks Batman in popularity. Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure, is the most popular hero in the world. But my point is, DC doesn't have, or Marvel doesn't have that problem because a lot of other characters people love. Wolverine, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Other characters are loved at Marvel, but DC, the only one that they've got that's popular is Batman. Maybe Superman. The study assumes that this is the main reason why 36% of MCU fans are feeling superhero fatigue, simply because they are more inclined to take in everything the franchise produces. Meanwhile, 20% of DC fans say they feel the same effect, likely because they are more likely to see less, simply because they are only following one specific character. So the ones that are deeply invested are getting burnt out because Marvel's putting out so much stuff. So they're consuming everything, but they're getting burnt out by it. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're putting out so much shit. They should really pull it back a little bit and focus on quality. If you're only going to put out a handful of shows and movies, then you can focus on making them the best products they can be instead of just pumping out garbage. A lot of these Disney shows go on too long. They could be a hell of a lot shorter. And I think what's going on is they're taking movie pitches and turning them into shows. That's what they're doing with Star Wars. Anyway, interesting stuff. Look at the comics too, by the way. Quality control over there is shit as well. Look at this Doctor Strange comic. This is a real comic book, by the way. Upcoming resurrection of Doctor Strange because he's been dead. But he's coming back, and here is his book. This is real art, real comic book art. Just want to point that out there. This is what you get at a modern Marvel comic right now. And from a popular character. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you would please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Comment below. And check out my Rumble and my locals. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.